Imagine a weapon so advanced and precise that it can level an entire military base with just one strike, leaving nothing but destruction in its wake. Recently, the U.S. Air Force's B-2 stealth bomber did just that, wiping out a crucial Houthi base in a mission that sent shockwaves around the world. But what led to this dramatic strike? What does this mean for the future of U.S. military engagement in the region? And how will the Houthis respond to such a devastating blow? Join us as we explore the extraordinary power of the U.S. B-2 bomber and how the bomber just wiped a Houthi base off the map. On the night of March 29, 2025, a squad of B-2 Spirit stealth bombers quietly took off under the cover of darkness and made a straight shot toward the Middle East. These flying wings aren't just any planes, they're some of the most advanced aircraft in the world, designed to sneak past radar like ghosts and carry enough firepower to flatten an entire base. A single B-2 can carry up to 40,000 pounds of bombs, including nuclear weapons if needed. As the bombers soared across the skies, they stopped mid-air to refuel. They could gas up in the sky using a flying tanker. This refueling is crucial, especially when flying long distances like over the Arabian Peninsula. Once they topped off their tanks, the B-2s locked into a special flight path, one that's tightly controlled and monitored. These paths are known as restrictive operating zones, or ROZs, kind of like invisible highways in the sky. They're designed to make sure when bombs are dropped, they don't accidentally land near, or worse, on friendly aircraft. The reason for the need for such precision is that the airspace above Yemen is packed. After recent military operations in the region, it's like air traffic during rush hour in Los Angeles, only with fighter jets instead of cars. You've got U.S. Navy F/A-18 Growlers jamming enemy radars, Air Force F-15s and stealthy F-35 flying combat patrols, long-range B-1 and B-52 bombers in the mix, Marine Corps jets, and even MQ-9 Reaper drones cruising high above. It's a busy, dangerous sky. To avoid any accidents, B-2 bombers stick strictly to their lanes, and everyone else is ordered to steer well clear. One wrong move could lead to a tragic friendly fire incident instead of a successful strike on enemy targets. Luckily, American air traffic controllers, some of the best in the world, work around the clock to coordinate all of these aircraft. They use cutting-edge systems, including real-time satellite feeds and encrypted comms, to deconflict the airspace, which means making sure every plane has its safe bubble to operate in. At around 2 a.m. local time, a sudden wave of powerful airstrikes slammed into the town of Saadat. In just minutes, 10 key targets were turned into plumes of smoke. These weren't just any targets either. We're talking about command centers, high-tech air defense systems, and heavily fortified communications bunkers. While these strikes were lighting up the sky, F-18 fighter jets from the aircraft carrier USS Truman were already in the air, carrying out something clever: decoy attacks using GPS-guided bombs. The goal is to stir up the hornet's nest and force the Houthis to react, exposing their hidden defenses. That's when the real punch came. Flying at a jaw-dropping altitude of 50,000 feet, higher than commercial airliners, a pair of stealthy B-2 Spirit bombers swooped into action. These bombers, which are practically invisible to radar thanks to their shape and radar-absorbing materials, released a barrage of GBU-31J dams. These are 2,000-pound GPS-guided smart bombs that can hit their targets with pinpoint accuracy within just 10 feet. That's like dropping a bomb on a specific parking spot from miles up in the sky. And the choice of weapon wasn't random. These particular targets were built tough, above-ground facilities reinforced with concrete to resist attacks. But that's exactly what the GBU-31 was made for. Its hardened casing is designed to punch straight through concrete before detonating inside, maximizing the damage from within. Even though the Houthis were using Iranian-made GPS jammers to try and throw off incoming weapons, it didn't matter. The J-dams don't just rely on satellite signals. They're also equipped with inertial navigation systems. That means even if GPS is blocked, they can still find their way with internal sensors that track speed, direction, and movement, almost like having a digital compass and gyroscope built into the bomb. The Houthis didn't even see the B-2s coming. These bombers are so stealthy, their radar cross-section is said to be smaller than a bird, Some experts even compare it to the size of a bumblebee on radar. That's why by the time the bombs hit, it was already too late. Originally, the United States built the B-2 Spirit bomber for one chilling reason: to stop a nuclear apocalypse before it could ever begin. This aircraft wasn't just made to drop bombs. It was designed to sneak deep into enemy territory, strike with terrifying power, and vanish before anyone even knew it was there. What makes the B-2 so incredible is its stealthy shape and high-tech engineering. It can slip past the world's most advanced radar systems, glide over enemy lines, drop its deadly cargo, and zip out unnoticed. That's possible thanks to its four mighty General Electric F118GE100 turbofan engines. Each one packs 70,300 pounds of thrust, adding up to a total of 69,200 pounds when they're all fired up. That's more than enough to lift a massive bomber into the sky at speeds nearing 630 miles per hour. Even more impressive, the B-2 can soar up to 50,000 feet, high enough to dodge almost all surface-to-air missiles, including the kinds used by militant groups like the Houthis. At that height, the air is thin, the skies are clear, and very few weapons can touch it. But the real secret sauce isn't just the engines or the altitude. It's the B-2's skin and shape. Its stealth doesn't come from magic. It's science, carefully crafted. The aircraft is coated with special radar-absorbing materials and designed with smooth curves and no sharp angles, which helps deflect radar waves instead of bouncing them back. The B-2's paint has to be reapplied constantly because even dust or raindrops can mess up its stealth abilities. It's so sensitive that crews often spend more time cleaning and fine-tuning it than flying it. The B-2 doesn't have a tail. Most planes do, but tails reflect radar. So engineers gave it a unique flying wing design, making it look like something out of a sci-fi movie and making it nearly invisible to radar. In short, the B-2 Spirit is a flying ghost. Quiet, powerful, and practically untouchable. It's the ultimate example of how science and military design can come together to create something truly unmatched in the skies. When it comes to stealth, one of the most important things is something called radar cross-section, or RCS for short. Think of it as how big something looks on radar. The larger the RCS, the easier it is for enemy radar to spot you and shoot you down. The B-2 Spirit bomber on a mission has an RCS of just 0.1 square meters. That's smaller than a bird. For comparison, an F-15 fighter jet shows up on radar with a signature that's about 250 times bigger. So, how does a giant flying wing like the B-2 hide so well? A big part of its stealth magic lies in its shape. If people ever see a B-2 flying, they will notice it's all smooth, curved edges, no sharp corners or sticking out parts. That design isn't just for looks. It helps radar waves slide off its body at steep angles, sending the radar energy off in the wrong direction. Since radar systems only see something if their waves bounce back, the B-2 can fly straight at a radar, and it still looks like nothing's there. But there's more going on than just clever shaping. The B-2 is also wrapped in a special coating, almost like a high-tech cloak. This outer layer absorbs radar signals rather than reflecting them, kind of like a sponge soaking up water. This radar-absorbing material is so sensitive that ground crews have to wear special shoes when walking on the aircraft, just to avoid damaging the surface. The B-2's stealth isn't just about hiding from radar. It's designed to stay hidden even from infrared sensors that track heat. Its engines are buried deep inside the body, and its exhaust is cooled down before it's released. That makes it incredibly hard to detect, even for satellites looking for heat signatures. And if that's not enough, during missions over hostile territory, like areas with Houthi radar systems, the B-2 is sometimes surrounded by electronic warfare clouds. These can jam or scramble enemy radar, acting like an invisible shield that confuses sensors and blocks tracking systems. When most people see the B-2 Spirit stealth bomber, the first thing they notice is that deep matte black color. Sure, it looks cool, and yes, the black helps it blend in with the night sky, but there's way more going on here than just paint. What makes this aircraft a ghost in the sky is what that paint is made of. The B-2 is coated with a super secret blend of advanced composite materials and something called iron ball paint, and that's where the real magic happens. This iron ball paint isn't just a name, It contains tiny spheres of iron, specially engineered to scatter and absorb radar waves. These materials work together to soak up around 80% of incoming radar signals. So even if an enemy radar does manage to get a reading, the return is so faint and distorted, it might as well be a bird, a bug, or even just a glitch in the system. Even countries with top-tier radar systems, like Iran or Russia, could hand over their best tech to a group like the Houthis, and it still wouldn't make a difference. The B-2 is just that hard to spot. Its entire shape, its materials, even the way its engines are tucked in to reduce heat signatures. The B-2's stealth features are so sensitive that ground crews must wear special slippers when working on it, just to avoid damaging its skin. Even the moisture in the air is constantly monitored, because the radar-absorbing coating can react to humidity in surprising ways. Even though Houthi radar crews were desperately scanning the skies, they never saw the B-2 bombers coming. And honestly, even if they hadn't been distracted by earlier airstrikes, their radar systems wouldn't have helped much. Most of their equipment, like the old Soviet-era P-18 spoon rest or the Iranian-supplied Qadr radar, relies on long-range L-band frequencies. That means they operate somewhere between 1 to 2 gigahertz, which works okay for tracking large ships at sea, but not for catching a glimpse of something like the B-2. Because stealth bombers like the B-2 Spirit are built to be invisible to that kind of radar. It's kind of like using a massive fishing net to try to catch a sewing needle. It's just not going to work. The B-2's special shape and radar-absorbing materials soak up nearly 80% of the radar waves aimed at it. The rest doesn't bounce straight back to the radar. Those signals scatter away at weird angles, making the plane nearly impossible to detect. The B-2's stealth design was inspired by the flying wing concept first dreamed up in the 1940s by Jack Northrop. But what's surprising is that the bomber's skin is covered with a rubbery material that's so sensitive to radar that it has to be repainted often, sometimes after every flight. So when those bombers cruised silently over Houthi positions, their radar screens showed nothing but empty sky. No warning, no trace. And by the time they realized something was wrong, it was already too late. Bombs were raining down. As the B-2 bombers relentlessly pounded their additional targets, the next wave of Truman's F-18s swooped in to further crush Houthi positions. In no time, Navy jets destroyed more than a dozen key targets around Sada, including crucial communication towers and broadcast stations that were vital in issuing orders to Houthi forces in the field. It was a strategic strike designed to cripple their command and control infrastructure. On their second pass, the B-2 bombers unleashed a devastating barrage of 500-pound GBU-38 JDAMs. While the blast radius of these bombs was roughly 80 meters, about 10 times smaller than the 2,000 lb bombs they had dropped earlier that morning, the smaller payload was perfect for hitting enemy infrastructure with surgical precision. The reduced blast radius meant less risk of collateral damage to civilian homes and businesses, a rare and crucial consideration in such intense military operations. As the bombs fell, the B-2s quickly banked away, heading toward their next mission. Despite having unleashed destruction all morning, the Houthis had not fired a single missile in response. It was as if they were being struck without warning, the positions obliterated before alarms even had the chance to sound. The bombers' speed and stealth, thanks to their cutting-edge radar-absorbing materials and advanced flight tactics, allowed them to strike with such precision that the enemy was often left in the dark. This ingenious design feature, unique to the B-2, made it an almost ghost-like presence in the skies, making counterattacks nearly impossible. If you've ever looked at a jet flying, you've probably noticed that its engine exhaust gives off a massive amount of heat. This heat doesn't just disappear. Super advanced radars, capable of detecting infrared signals, can pick up that heat from miles away. These radars are so powerful that they can potentially lock onto a jet's heat signature, giving enemy forces a way to target it. But here's where things get interesting. Engineers came up with an ingenious solution to drastically reduce the B-2 Spirit bomber's heat signature, which makes it incredibly difficult for the enemy to track. Instead of the typical engine placement, which makes the heat easy to spot, the B-2's engines are cleverly hidden deep inside the aircraft's body. But that's not all. When the engines are running, the B-2 channels its exhaust through specially designed ducts that diffuse the heat before it even exists. This means that the aircraft's infrared signature is reduced to just 20% of what a normal jet would give off. Even if an enemy somehow manages to lock onto the B-2, it wouldn't be an easy hit. The aircraft comes with additional defense measures that make it even harder to keep that lock. If someone thinks about the B-2 design, it's like a game of hide and seek at the highest level of tech. The B-2's stealth technology wasn't just about hiding from radar, it also had to minimize heat signatures, which is one reason why the aircraft's shape and exhaust system are so unique. Later that same morning, the B-2 Spirit bombers finished their mission by striking 8 more high-value targets in Yemen's Amran Governorate. But this time, things were even more coordinated. The B-2 worked hand-in-hand with the Navy's E-2D Hawkeye surveillance aircraft. Using a special shared tactical data link known as Link 16, they could all see the same detailed 3D map of the airspace around them without ever having to turn on their radar. That's important because turning on the radar can give away your position. Instead, they stayed completely silent and invisible. Their weapon of choice once again was the GBU-31 JDAMs. But there's a twist. These may have been fitted with powerful penetrator warheads designed to smash deep underground. Because intelligence reports hinted these targets weren't what they appeared to be, they were disguised bunkers and underground data hubs, hiding beneath structures that looked like ordinary civilian buildings from the outside. These bombs were released from an altitude of around 50,000 feet. That's higher than Mount Everest, and it took them over 40 seconds to hit the ground. By the time the explosions rumbled across the landscape, those B-2 were already 50 miles away, safely heading home. That's how stealthy and fast they are, and the FA-18 fighter jets from the aircraft carrier USS Truman didn't even get close. That was all part of the plan. They maintained strict no-fly zones, about 30 miles wide, around the B-2 target zones. This careful airspace separation, called deconfliction, meant that no friendly aircraft were ever at risk. It was like watching a perfectly timed aerial ballet, with each player hitting their marks flawlessly. The E-2D Hawkeye is like an airborne command center, with eyes that can scan hundreds of miles in every direction. Yet in this case, it kept those eyes passive, relying solely on shared data to keep everything in sync. The B-2 stealth bomber is equipped with some seriously advanced technology, making it almost invisible to the enemy. For starters, the aircraft is lined with specialized laser and radar warning receivers that cover its entire skin. These sensors give the B-2 a full 360-degree view of its surroundings, helping it detect potential threats without actively broadcasting any signals that could be detected by enemy radars. This passive approach to defense is a major advantage. The B-2 is fully integrated into the U.S. military's combat command and control systems, meaning it's always connected and ready to receive real-time updates. It can get target information during flight via satellite links and send mission data back through secure radio channels, including UHF, VHF, and HF frequencies. This constant communication with command centers ensures that the B-2 stays on top of any changing conditions or targets in the air. The B-2 is also linked to the Link 16 network, a secure system that connects different military assets across the battlefield, providing an even more accurate flow of information. While in flight, this gives the B-2 the ability to tap into critical data from a variety of sources, keeping it updated and ready to make split-second decisions. On top of that, the B-2 has a highly classified defensive system that scans the electromagnetic spectrum for any suspicious activity. If enemy radar locks onto the plane, this system alerts the crew, offering them various options for evasive actions. Whether it's adjusting the bomber's altitude, changing course, or even avoiding enemy air corridors altogether, this system ensures that the B-2 can outmaneuver threats before they get too close. The B-2 Spirit bomber is capable of carrying up to 40,000 pounds of ordnance in its internal bomb bays, located just beneath its sleek fuselage. Inside these bomb bays, the B-2 can transport an impressive arsenal. This includes up to 16 powerful 2,000-pound JDAMs, 8,500-pound MKI-82 bombs, or a single 30,000-pound GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrator, which is specifically designed to penetrate hardened targets like bunkers. What's even more interesting is its ability to deploy either the B-61 or B-83 gravity bombs, which have adjustable yields allowing for a tailored explosive impact. Interestingly, the B-2 is designed to be a stealth bomber, meaning it can deliver these heavy payloads while remaining virtually invisible to enemy radar. This gives it a strategic advantage, allowing it to strike deep into enemy territory without being detected. While the B-2 can carry nuclear bombs, thankfully, it hasn't been called into action for that purpose in the ongoing conflicts. For now, it remains a formidable weapon in conventional warfare, serving as a powerful deterrent. Its current role is a key part of the U.S. military's arsenal, providing the Trump administration with a robust option that's as close to the nuclear threshold as possible without actually crossing it. After completing its mission, the B-2 bombers, now with their bomb bays empty, know it's time to return to base. However, instead of retracing their steps and flying back the way they came, these highly advanced aircraft make a sharp right turn and head directly toward the middle of the Indian Ocean. This unexpected route is a strategic maneuver, taking them far from the danger zones, ensuring their safe return. What were two giant stealth bombers doing way out in the middle of nowhere? Tucked away about 4,000 kilometers southeast of Yemen is a remote island base called Diego Garcia. It's one of the most secretive and heavily guarded U.S. military bases on Earth, hidden in the middle of the Indian Ocean. For over 50 years, it's been a quiet powerhouse for American military operations, used as a launch pad for bombers, surveillance planes, and even nuclear submarines. And because it's so isolated, it's perfect for keeping operations off the radar, literally and figuratively. Just days after the March 29th strikes, satellite images and plane spotters started buzzing about something unusual. B-2 Spirit stealth bombers were seen moving around on the runways of Diego Garcia. Now, B-2s are rarely seen outside their home base in Missouri, so seeing 6 of them parked on this remote island was a major red flag. The Pentagon hasn't confirmed anything officially, but high-res satellite photos don't lie. Those 6 bat-winged aircraft on the ground? That's a bold message. The game has changed. Not many people know this, but Diego Garcia is the only U.S. military base built on an atoll that was forcibly emptied of its native population. In the 1960s and 70s, the Chagassian people were exiled so the island could be transformed into a top-secret military zone. To this day, they're still fighting to return. Even stranger is the island has been rumored to host secret intelligence operations involving advanced tracking systems and long-range drone control. Some conspiracy theories even claim Diego Garcia was somehow connected to the mysterious disappearance of Malaysia Airlines flight MH370, though that's never been proven. Diego Garcia is far from just another military base. It's a cutting-edge launch pad that plays a key role in long-range strike missions. Located about 3,000 kilometers from Yemen, it's perfectly positioned to target the Middle East, East Africa, and parts of Asia. A B-2 bomber can get to Yemen in just 5.5 hours from Diego Garcia, while from Missouri it takes about 12 hours. This means that, from the U.S., long-range missions could take up to 24 hours and need several air refuels. But Diego Garcia isn't a quick stop. It's built for the long haul. With its massive 12,000-foot runway and reinforced shelters, it can accommodate B-2 bombers for months at a time, giving the U.S. military a persistent and flexible presence in the region. Having B-2 bombers stationed here, even briefly, is a major statement. It's not just a one-off mission, it signals the U.S. is prepared for long-term, precise operations. This not only allows for faster response times, but also creates an atmosphere of pressure on adversaries, forcing them to act quickly or face the consequences. And this is a rare move. Diego Garcia isn't some headline-grabbing stunt. It's about quietly making a powerful statement without the need for public announcements. For the Houthis in Yemen, this presence is a strong signal that their infrastructure could be obliterated at any moment. To Iran, it serves as a reminder of the high costs that come with destabilizing the region. And for U.S. allies, it's proof of commitment, showcasing the U.S.'s ability to leverage stealth, speed, and precision. What's more fascinating is the history behind Diego Garcia itself. It was once a remote, uninhabited island until the U.S. established a military base there during the Cold War. Since then, it's become a critical strategic hub, and its role in global military strategy is far more important than most people realize. Having B-2 bombers on Diego Garcia, even temporarily, marks the beginning of a new era where the U.S. military can act in hours, not days, with a level of unpredictability that no one can easily anticipate. Thank you for watching another episode on our channel. While you are still here, click the video on your screen to see more mind-blowing videos like this one.